All right. It is Mindset Monday on a Monday. Last week was Mindset Tuesday Monday or Mindset Monday Tuesday or whatever it was. But this is a true full-on Mindset Monday. I got Al and David with me. And as you come on, let us know where you're zooming in from. I see a whole bunch of people jumping on. Thanks for being on. Let's see you in the chat. Cornhuskers in the house. See, the Nebraska people are always first. I'll tell you what, somebody from some other place has got to beat these Nebraska folks. I don't know what it is. Maybe they just have faster internet. I don't know. It's fast internet in Nebraska. All right. See Seattle, Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky, Ohio, Texas, Canada, Idaho, California. I don't know. We got lots and lots and lots of people. Who do you guys see?
Man, let's see a lot. See Brian Heflin on. He's always on board. And gosh, we got a guy that's John Blake, and he's partially blind, and he's on. So I mean, there's no excuse for not getting on this. And I see your wife, your bride is on, David. That's
okay.
important.
She made it. All right, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
well,
good.
what's important there is
just checking up on you. Lynn, we got him.
I got done with one the other night, and Jan said, well, I would have done this a little different, and she was right. But I'll tell you, I said, don't share with that until tomorrow. Tomorrow you can share that with me. That'd be great.
They say usually you're your own toughest critic, but anybody who's married knows your spouse is your toughest critic.
They can get you. They can get you in the weak spot.
It's only because it counts. There you go.
But we can get them, so it goes both ways.
There we go. All right. Well, good enough. I see Idaho, Indiana, New Mexico, Florida, Chicago, New Jersey, my original home state. All right. Well, let's do this. We're jumping on right at the top of the hour. We're a minute or two after, and let's get rolling. You guys ready?
Sure. You bet.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, good. Well, my name is David Litt. I am the VP of Digital Strategy. We got Al Kiernan, David Rayner, a couple of very, very seasoned veterans in network marketing, but more importantly, seasoned trainers and business people and entrepreneurs. And, these guys were really passionate about this book, The One Thing, and raised their hand, jumped up and down and said, hey, this is one of my favorite books, and we want to be part of this training. And I love that. I love the enthusiasm, and I love the willingness to share. And Al is getting $0.00 for this. David's getting $0.00, and they're worth every penny. I appreciate their servant leadership and willingness to jump in. So I'm just going to turn it over to Al. I've got a handful of things to share, but we're just going to go round robin. And Al was like, we're doing chapters 3, 4, and 5. Normally it's the corporate guy that's like, we got to go buy the book. Oh, we're going to do. I'm like, I don't know. I grabbed a couple things from chapter 8, a couple things from I'm sorry. So I'm a little bit out of bounds here, but I'll turn it over to you, Al. You can do chapters 3, 4, and 5, and David and I will we'll fill in the gaps here.
Sort of covered 3 a little bit last time. What I think we should do, David, and that would be David Rayner, is basically we should talk a little about the myth about everything matters equally. That's chapter 4. And I know that you and I really enjoy the myths of different things that we think are really important, but they're really not. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts about everything matters equally, because they go into pretty good detail here.
Yeah, they do. And, I think, look, it's back again to this idea that 20% of what we're doing is making an impact on the results we're looking for. So, I think what happens if you just think of your life, and the challenge is the world we're living in now has got a lot of distractions and a lot of stuff to do. And so we can end up doing a lot of things and still not get anything done towards what we say when we would sit down and say, this is my vision. This is what I want to create. So if you're building a business like this, a happy co-business, everything does not matter equally. Like you could attend every meeting. You could look at the entire back office. Have you ever had anyone say to you, Al, I want to study on everything so I understand all the products? And
4 years later, they're still studying.
They're still studying. They literally are still studying. And that's when I realized, for me, first of all, there are So think of it like this. There are things that move the football down the field that are vertical, right? You're going forward. And then there are a lot of horizontal moves, and you have to understand, what are you doing? What kind of actions are you taking? Are they horizontal or just keeping you on the same level and you're just keeping busy? It's kind of like that analogy of lighting 20 fires, and you spend all your time keeping those 20 fires lit, right?
Right. David, one of the things that I think you really focused in on this is you had your brother, you were going to take Diamond, but you knew that your energy had to be very specific. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that I noticed about you is you said, all the distractions I have, I'm going to get them out of the way. I'm not spending any time on those. I'm going to spend time on the one thing that will actually go ahead and get my brother to Diamond. And that's by breaking a gold underneath him, okay, in the right spot, strategically in the right spot. And what I want you to think about, and as I was reading it through there, and it says 20% of your effort is created 80% of your results. I'm thinking to myself, man, is that really true? And then I got to thinking about what I've done even in the last week. I've been a happy little camper. I get my one meaningful conversation done every day. I have some commitments from other people that I check in on, but bottom line is having that one done every day. As a matter of fact, I got 7 done last week simply because I was on a roll. All right. And here's the thing. Will they all come in? Oh, no, they're not all going to come in. Did any of them go ahead and were mad I called them? No. Or I talked with them. So here's what I want you to think about is just this. So many times we spend a lot of our energy, like you said, getting 20 campfires going instead of building one big bonfire.
Yeah, and one thing to just kind of give you just a little brain science around it, like if you think about it like this, multitasking is kind of what we have been trained to do. Like right now, I challenge all of you that are watching this to just watch this and listen to us. I challenge you to not, how many of you have already looked at your phone 10 times? That we look at our phone about 200 to 300 times a day. And what happens is that our attention span as a human race has dropped to 8 seconds. Okay. So think of your attention, and, because this is one of the areas that I really like. It's like, willpower is not taken for granted. Brain power is not, you can't take it for granted. You want to build a business, which means you want to create something out of nothing. You want to manifest something important in your life. And yet you have to be able to focus long enough on the right actions to get that done. So think of your concentration and your brain and the way they work together. And I want to just say this just from a brain science standpoint. When you sleep at night, you charge the front of your brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex. That sleeping, true sleep, helps your body reset and heal itself. When you wake up in your morning, because some people are on night cycles, but if you wake up and it's your morning, that prefrontal cortex is charged, it's ready to go. So what starts to happen is every time what we call multitask, which is really called task switching, every time we do task switching, we lose about 1% brain power. So think about 1% of your battery goes every time you multitask. But we multitask for so many reasons that don't even serve us. Like, how many of you are like, you're watching news and you're doing your paper and your brain is all over the place. So you start to lose that brain energy. And then you go, now, Al, time to make the call to the one person to do the one thing today, to share the happy code with them. And how do you feel? How many of you ever feel burnout? You don't have the energy to do it. You feel exhausted. And I know this because I'm in the field. I know how, when I set myself up like that, I end up going, I don't have the bandwidth to make one call, right? And that's because I use my brain, I multitask, I drain my own energy, lost my focus. And so, this is kind of why the one thing is so key. Like, if we can correct that, it could change the whole game.
For everybody on this thing. See, when you're talking about multitasking, think about this, David, and it's in the David and David. We'll call it a law firm, David and David. Okay. Anyway, but what happens here is in multitasking, think about this. When you're driving and texting, and some of you do that, you're no better than a drunk driver. As a matter of fact, statistically, it's so close, it's scary. Now, and every one of us know that now it accounts for, what is that, 500,000 accidents every year, according to the book. All right. And I think it's probably more than that, especially with COVID and everything else that we've gone through. Here's the thing. Other people that are listening to you and watching you, they know. Okay. I don't know how many times I've seen people, well, they're talking to you and they'll do this. Yeah. And I use the example, but I think it's a valid one. I'm on a Zoom call with a guy in San Antonio on Dallas. Okay. The prospect is in Dallas. And all of a sudden, I can see he's starting to text. So I shut up. I just shut up. And after about 30 seconds, he says, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "No problem. Finish your text. It's no big deal." But he didn't do it again. Okay. And why I'm saying this is just this. When you're out there and you're doing a one-on-one Zoom, or you're doing a small group meeting, or if you're having a meaningful conversation, put the other stuff away and don't multitask, because it's just like, listen, you say, "I don't want to die," but you get a knife out and you start stabbing yourself. That's what you're doing when there's too vivid. Okay, I can.
That was a little vivid.
Okay, but here's the thing. I don't want you to think that multitasking is going to make it for you, because here's what I'm asking. But David, go back to this. I'm thinking about the amount. You have an idea of when we should charge up and when we should use our business to the fullest extent. Talk a little bit about why it's so important to do it when you know you're at your most productive. I've been on a roll here lately. I've been getting mine done first thing in the morning. Worst thing is maybe 1 in the afternoon, but I'm good. I'm ready to go. Now I got to be honest with you, at 9 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night, I don't feel like having that kind of conversation. So how important is it to do it during prime time?
Well, your brain's prime time is usually when your brain is charged. So that's why. So let's look at solutions, right? You wanna understand the price you pay for multitasking. Literally, multitasking on several devices is just, as Al said, like drunk driving. It's even worse than smoking marijuana and your brain function. So you might as well drink and have some marijuana if you're going to multitask, because you're literally going to be performing worse. So when you can just get on point and you get your brain energized, you wake up. That's what we talked a little bit about this last week. I know David Litt talked about this. What are your priorities? What is that 1, 2, or 3 things that you need to get done? And if you are a multitasker, or here's the other person that this is interesting for. Put something in the chat if you're an overwhelmed person, because I don't know why, but so many people are overwhelmed people. And that just means life happens and you're always overwhelmed by it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not judging you for it. I'm saying it's a biotype in the brain. And I could get into that with you one day, because Stanford has done a lot of work about brain biotypes. And some people fire into an overwhelm and they just freak out over everything. So then you say, "I can't do one more thing. My life is just so much," right? So this is going now.
Well, David, one of the things that happens with people that get overwhelmed, they have all these lists to do, and we're going to cover that in just a second. They have all these lists to do things, but it's not what they have to do. It's things they got on their list to do. And here's the thing. In the book, they talk about should do. And he talk about taking all the lists that you have, breaking it down to should do. And then, of course, at the end of chapter 6, he's talking about go small. Find the one thing you have to do. David Litt's probably just anxious as heck to go ahead and get in this conversation, because David Rayner and I can go on for hours, because we have before. So bottom line is, go ahead, David Litt. I'm sure you got some things you want to add in here.
Oh, no, I love listening. I'm taking notes. And, I just as what David Rayner was saying about, when you're recharged in the morning, I just did that here this afternoon. So great news, everybody. We are very far along on the customer referral program. We're down to the last little bit, and we've got customer referral screens for thehappyco.com, and we've got customer referral screens for sharethehappyco.com and the checkout, and it's lots of detail. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna do that first thing in the morning. Like, I could do that right before the Zoom. I could do that right before this Mindset Monday Zoom. I got about 20 minutes. Maybe I can squeeze it in. And I'm like, you know what? There's some other things I can do that are less important right now, because that's my one thing for the month is the customer referral program. And I want to make sure I'm doing my best work, and nobody's going to be working on it here in the IT department at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to do it first thing in the morning. I'm going to get it done right. I told the person that, you know, I'm going to be handing it off to. I said, hey, I'm going to get this done in the morning. No worries. It's going to be great. And we're good to go. So rather than take us on a new direction, although I got a couple things, you know, before we wrap up the Zoom at the end, I just wanted to emphasize, you know, firsthand in the last 20 minutes, I took David Rayner's advice before he even gave it, which was, you know, make sure that you're doing your most important work at your best time when you're fully focused. And I didn't feel like I could be fully focused with this Mindset Monday coming up, and it's the end of my day, and I want to really do good work on that one. So
You know,
that's right.
one of the things also that I think happens here is that we lack clarity. Okay, like I was on a team call this morning, and somebody says, "Well, I don't do it 2 days out of the week, but I do it on a third day or fourth day or fifth day." And here's the thing: I know if that's your priority system, you're not ever going to be good at this. I'm sorry, and I'm not counting the weekends off or anything like that. I'm talking about the 5 days of the week. You've got to decide that it's the most important thing that you're doing. In other words, David Litt, you've been around multimillionaires. David Rayner, you've been around actors and actresses and all sorts of people that made millions and millions. They didn't get there because they were lucky. They were focused individuals. And maybe David, just for a second, because I know most people don't understand the acting background you've had and all that kind of stuff, but would you share what are the odds and what do they have to do to become an actor at the kind of level where you see them on the movies?
Well, I was fortunate because I did about, maybe 200 hours of television in my career. I grew up as a child actor, right? So I was able to see people with, crazy talent, and then see them become stars. I thought I was going to become a star, but obviously I didn't. But I did do a lot of work around a lot of powerful people, and they all really have a one thing. The people that succeeded that I've seen in the movie business have a one thing. One of the things I figured out, and I was very successful at acting. I'm vested in the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, and Screen Actors Guild. So I get pensions from all of those three unions because I worked long enough in each of them. Right. So, I did all right. Right. But what I noticed is that people just were really clear. And I would tell actors, look, you get 2 out of 10 jobs, you can make it in this business. So you're going to get 10 no's and you're going to get 2 yeses. And the people that bat 20%, 30% in acting are batting the same as if you bat 300 in baseball. And it's the same in this business. Right. But you can't really, it's like this business was tricky about home-based businesses. If I go to acting, I know I need to get in front. Like, what's the one thing in acting? Interview for a job in which I can be hired, right? Like and I was fortunate enough to be at that level where that was not a problem. So I could go to bat 10 times, one thing, go to bat, and make sure I was trained up enough to do it. What's the one thing in this business? Doesn't it start to get a little bit more vague when you move into your own home business, when there's no railroad tracks? And I would argue that acting, writing, directing doesn't have as many railroad tracks that are obvious as other industries. What you got to do to be an accountant, right? There's some things you just know. So when you come into this business, you're really saying, I am willing to go for my dream. And that is such an amazing choice that all of us have made here, right? To go for our dreams. And yet we have to understand the price we pay if we undermine the way we function, if we overwhelm the system, so we have to really take care of ourselves. Let me give you a couple of recharge strategies, Al, because if you are everybody has a stress response, from panic to overwhelm, to worry, to avoidance, to shutting down, right? Everybody's got a stress response. So what can you do so that doesn't kick in, so that you can do the one thing, right? And what you want to do is understand that you want to do things that recharge your energy, like you exercise. One of the number one things you can do, exercise the body, because the body refuels the mind. So when you feel burnout, do some exercise. You could even do quiet time or mindfulness, which is another form of, when you hear meditation, some people make a spiritual connotation to that. It's not spiritual. It's not a spiritual practice. and what the way we're talking about it. We're talking about calming your mind so you can have more observation of your life and have less reaction to life. And you could also eat foods that fuel your body. So notice I'm not telling you how to eat. I'm saying eat foods that fuel your body. And then a big one is sleeping. And so with the multitasking, you're going to notice a lack of focus. And when you have this lack of focus, what happens is when you get ready to go to bed, how many of you are lying in bed and you're going, my mind is racing everywhere? So why? Because, well, you've let your mind just get off the rails. So what do you need to do? You can do a brain dump before bed. You can do like write down everything on your mind. What I do is I make lists and I tell my brain, look, I'm writing all this down so I'm not thinking about it in the middle of the night. But what the commitment I have to make in order for this to work is I have to look at that list in the morning. Now, if you're waking up because, oh my God, what about this? What about that? That needs to get out of your brain and do a dump so that you can start your day. I'm telling you the foundation for doing the one thing. You start doing these things, it's going to be easier for you because there's a reason that you would go, well, I'm multitasking or I'm stressed. And we're saying, yeah, to win in this game, you got to really take very good care of yourself, which is why we're talking about the book. Because, I mean, some of these things are amazing technology for us to just succeed at.
Absolutely. Hey, David, one thing, not just the book. I'm going to ask you a question here. You're a high performer. Okay. I had a high performer just check in with me a few minutes ago on what she was doing for the day. And she says, I had a good business conversation, but it didn't go all the way. It didn't happen. And I told her, I said, don't worry about it because the strengths you have, you've just got to bring them to the forefront. You've got strengths. Everybody here on this call tonight, the 76 people we have on this call here tonight, every one of you has talent. Your job is to bring that talent to the forefront so they understand when they become your brand partner, your business partner, then in fact, you're unstoppable together. Okay.
Yeah. And Al, people are following each of us, right? They're following us. They're looking at how we show up in life. So if we show up unfocused, if we can't do a simple one thing that produces large results, because remember, the one thing is doing one thing so that repeated over time that produces great results. If we can't do it, how are we going to get anyone else to follow us? If they look at you and you live a scattered, unfocused, overwhelmed, anxiety-ridden life, and then say, hey, come follow me into the happy company, everybody's saying, hell no, right? I was like, I don't want that. So that's the key. It's like we want to take care of ourselves so that we can build the business and people can see. And Al just said something, I just need to say it. You all are incredibly talented at something, and you are a gift for someone to be working with. That needs to come through when you're talking about this. And these are the keys that help you show the real you to the people so they go, I want some of that.
Your truth is always self-evident. Okay. So make sure you don't, I can't say I'm a great basketball player. I'm a good basketball player, but I'm not a great basketball player. Well, so what amounts is I can't tell the lie. I got to say what's true. Okay. I'm hardworking. You can count on me. I'm going to have that. Bring what's true about you to the forefront. You'll be excited about it. I want everyone to go to page 34 after we get done. It says, go small. Don't focus on being busy. Focus on being productive. Allow what matters most to drive your day. Okay. Go extreme. Once you figured out what actually matters, keep asking what matters most until there's only one thing left. Okay. Say no. David has to do this to me all the time. David Rayner, because bottom line, I'll ask him to do so much stuff because he's so talented. Okay. But David's gotten better. No, Al, I'd love to do that. Can't do it. I don't know why your phone's ringing. Anyway, okay. So don't get trapped into the checkoff game. That's where you check off all the things on your list that is on your list instead of what you should do. David Litt, over to you. I know you got some things you want to bring up.
Well, I just wanted to add in, the idea that when you're focused on the one thing, it's not just the task side of things, it's the energy that you bring to the conversation. So, my favorite hobby / vice is playing poker. So I play poker pretty much every Saturday. And if you want to get somebody's attention in poker, you take your chips and you say, I'm all in. When you say I'm all in, you've got everybody's attention, because that means you're putting all the chips on the table, everything you got in front, and said, this hand, I'm all in. And when you do that, you can feel everybody's energy go, whoa, that's going to be a big pot. That's going to be a serious situation. So the one thing is not just about you doing your activities. The one thing creates that focus. I like to watch people get interviewed, and there are a couple of people that I find really interesting as people that are interviewed. And one of the people is Jamie Foxx. I feel like Jamie Foxx is he's very, very present when he's in a conversation. And the person that's famous for being amazingly focused is Tom Cruise. That when Tom Cruise is talking to you, people say the whole world outside of him melts away. And it's not just his charisma, but it's his ability to be present that creates almost a vacuum in which people have to listen to him. So if you all are wanting to see somebody who's like really good at being focused, watch Jamie Foxx get interviewed, or watch Tom Cruise get interviewed, and you'll see the level of, some people would call it intensity, but I would call it intention. That their intention level is so serious that they just feel that connection. And that's a big part of what we do in relationship marketing is try to create that, try to create that intention. And so, you don't want to be looking at your phone as you're talking to other people, or half here, half there, but it's that intention thing that's really good. I see
David,
that,
one of the things that I think could happen here with all 76 people, if you decided you were never, Brian Byro is a good friend of mine. He talks about being 100% fully present. Okay. And here's the thing, if you'll decide to treat people like you would like to be treated by being 100% fully present, and you give them your very best, that you have that day, and you go for it, and you put all the distractions away, this company here will just absolutely skyrocket, because we've got a lot of good people. I've been on a lot of calls, a lot of Zooms. There's a lot of good people in this company here. The question is, will you let that greatness that abides inside you come out and take a bunch of other people to the top with you? Because you certainly can.
So the example in the one thing, the book that I'd never, I don't know, I must have missed it the first time that I read the book. And when I reread it here, that really stuck out is the founder of Guinness. His name was Arthur Guinness. He signed a 9,000-year lease. When he bought his property in 16 whatever, he signed a 9,000-year lease. So you talk about being all in. You talk about somebody who has a big vision and says, I'm going to have a brewery that's going to last a long, 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 long time. His version of a long time and his version of a commitment was different than other people's. And guess what? I think, Guinness is one of, if not the oldest beers in the world. I think it started in the 1600s. So, you're talking about a beer that's almost 400, a brewery that's almost 400 years old. And he's not even not even 10% through his lease. So we probably got a good rate though. I mean, if you got a 9,000-year lease in 1600, whatever, I mean, he might be paying, $50 a month for his whole brewery. I don't know. But I thought that was a great story. Again, going back to the all, that all in concept. So it's not just your to-do list. And I'm a huge believer in time management, to-do lists and all that sort of stuff. One other quick story I wanted to share. And it was triggered by the book. It's not in the book, but some of you may have heard the story of the two shoe salesmen. So there's shoe salesmen that go overseas to another country and they work for two different companies. And one shoe salesman shows up in this country and says, there's nobody wearing shoes here. This is a disaster. This will never work. And the other shoe salesman goes to the country and says, there's nobody wearing shoes here. This is amazing. We can sell so many shoes. So I think there's, so many different options of how you can build a business. And some people are always looking at the negative side. Some people are always looking at the positive side. And while that's not, a main theme of the one thing, I think that attitude is always an important component in what you bring to your life. And the one thing, is good attitude can be the one thing that you bring to your life, especially being part of the Happy Co. That, it's part of our brand, so being on brand is being happy and bringing good energy and all that, and seeing opportunity and seeing optimism. And that's attractive to people. If you're at a party and you're walking around and you see somebody who's just lighting up the room and having fun and, whatever, versus somebody who's sitting there checking their phone and doing whatever, who are you going to go up and talk to? Who are you going to be most interested in connecting with? So anyway, that was something I wanted to share. So I've got a homework assignment for everybody. So is there anything you'd like to share, Al, David, to wrap up? Any last thoughts?
Let's just go ahead. Let's go ahead and make sure that everyone's read 4, 5, and 6, and then let's get ready for next Monday by getting through at least 10 or 11. Okay, and that way we'll have the information. We'll probably have some more notes. Might even be able to show some visuals. But here's the thing: if you get this down, the one thing, you're going to be happier, because you're going to have your one thing done first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day is a cakewalk by comparison. Remember what the one thing talks about. If you have the one thing complete, it makes all the other things that you would do either meaningless or unnecessary or unimportant in terms of getting it done in a time frame. And see, I know that that's true. Go ahead, David.
And I just want to say that, like David says, when you do the one thing and you start to, in a way, say no to a lot of other things that aren't creating energy for you, people start to see who you are. They start to see why you're the one they want to follow. And you start to be present enough and focused enough to see where the solution is, because every one of you can create a great business. You can create success and you can lead a team. And the only thing standing between you and doing it at the level you want is whether you're communicating yourself clearly or not. And if you're connected to your vision. So do the one thing so that can happen.
Awesome. Well, so I want to go back to last week's homework assignment real quick, and it's not reading the chapters. That's just kind of part of the Zoom. So Al gave a homework assignment last week. I had a couple people comment on it, which is, did you have one important conversation every single day for last week? Al said he got his 7 in. David Rayner, you get your 7 important.
Well, unlike Al, I didn't make that commitment, and that's important, everybody. I did not commit to doing that. I committed to something else, which I was doing.
No problem. Good. No, I think that's a good lesson. I think that's a good lesson too. So if you made the commitment, then you follow through. If you've got a different one thing, that's fine. So here's the homework assignment, or at least something to think about. So people were saying in last week's chat, I'm not sure what my one thing is. I don't know how to figure out my one thing, and so rather than get way down into the details, I'm going to quickly run through 5 different types of action, and you're going to pick one of them and see if you can work on it this week as far as one type of action. So one type of action is immediate action, which is you just think of somebody's name and you send a text. You think of somebody's name, you make a phone call. You think of somebody's name, you make. So there's the immediate action. You're at a restaurant, you see a server, they're smiling, they're fun, they're awesome, and you decide to take immediate action and reach out to them and connect with them. Immediate action is 1. 2 is massive action, which is I'm going to put my head down. This is going to be my week that I'm really, 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 really going to focus on my business, on the Happy Co. So number 2 option would be massive action. Number 3 is consistent action, kind of like what Al was talking about. hey, every day I'm going to have one important conversation. That's not necessarily immediate action. That's not necessarily massive action, but that is consistent action. So that's something I might want to work on, would be consistent action. The fourth is simple action. A lot of you that are overwhelmed, and David was talking about, feeling and being overwhelmed. It's like, how can I get it down to a simple action? It's another thing that was great about Al's, concept of one conversation, one important, meaningful conversation, is that's a super simple action. So whether it's sending out one text, whether it's, posting one time every day, whether it's doing, 3 lives for the week, something simple that you 100% get your arm around. And the last one is targeted action. So it's immediate action, massive action, consistent action, simple action, or targeted action, which might be, hey, I'm going to go start to talk with massage therapists. I used to be a massage therapist back in the day, and I'm going to go and do that, or I'm going to target moms and going to focus on that. So figure out what it is that you're going to get focused on, get small on, get serious on, get your intention in, get all in on, whether it's immediate action, massive action, consistent action, simple action, targeted action. There's so many different ways to run in this business, so many different things you can do, so many different options. That's the good news and the bad news. It's your business. You need to decide. Maybe that helps you to figure out. So I'm not telling you make a phone call, send a DM, do a Facebook Live, do this, do that. I'm saying focus on one of those types of action, and naturally you may figure out, oh, that's what I'm going to do this week. That's going to be my one thing this week. And for those of you who want to do massive action, that's going to be, the most productive. So if you're willing to do that, then take it on and be like Arthur Guinness and sign a 9,000-year lease. Be all in on it and have some fun. So cool. Well, everybody seemed to have a little fun. We got some hand clapping and hearts and all kinds of fun emojis. Appreciate all of you. This is fun for me. Mindset Monday. So next week, we're going to read up to chapter 11. I kind of read ahead. Now I got to slow down. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But and I'm not sure whether I'm going to be doing it or Taylor's going to be doing it with these two wonderful gentlemen. But whoever's here, we're going to have some fun. We're going to create some fire. We're going to keep it simple. And thanks everybody for listening in, zooming in, and we will catch you on What's Up Weekly on Wednesday. David, super thanks. Al, super thanks. Appreciate you. Next time I'm going to match my background as nicely as Al did. That's pretty sweet. I like it.
Have a great
Talk to you all
evening,
later.
everyone. God bless.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.